Hello everyone, Lance King here with What Can I Achieve Today video, and today's going to be a concept video on what a proactive person is versus a reactive person. Now, I've had to struggle with this myself because as I was going through those tough times in my life, I went from being a proactive person to a reactive person without even actually knowing it was happening. And it seems like the more struggles that you have being thrown at you, the more reactive you become. And suddenly you are just a complete reactive person where everything is happening based on your environment, things that are happening, especially during the divorce. That was probably during the worst of the worst because I really didn't have any control of my environment around me or what was happening, but I could choose my decisions and how I responded to it. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, because it's probably one of the most important things if you want to be able to change, is you actually have to realize that you have that decision to actually make a choice. Now you have the stimulus of whatever is bothering you. It could be anything related to relationships, health, it could be your children. And if you think about it, when you're growing up as a child, you're an extremely proactive person. If you have your own children or you remember back when you were a child, you're always getting into things, you're being really proactive because you're in a stage where you're learning a lot and you want to experience a lot of things. When you're a teenager, you're proactive and in a different way because you start to realize what you like, and so you follow those stimulus that you really like and you respond accordingly. Now, as you get a little older, you kind of want to focus on what you feel is most, or what makes you most stimulated, and at some point, sometimes that stimulus or that being proactive feeling kind of goes away because there's some things you have to do just as part of life, as a routine, like waking up and taking care of yourself, hygiene, that sort of thing. And when you're a teenager, that might not be something you want to do all the time, is wake up and go do things because you were out late at night, but you still have to go to school the next day, or at least you should be. So become more reactive in some parts of your life. And what you don't realize is that you just become very reactionary when you're going from a proactive to a reactive person, where you don't actually think about the response that you're giving to the situation. And you do have a choice. As you mature mentally, you actually start to realize, and you're more aware of yourself. And just being aware of your actual decisions is what makes us uniquely human, is we can actually consciously think and imagine seeing ourselves from a different angle. So if you're sitting down looking at this, or you're walking somewhere, maybe you're on the airplane, and you're watching this, you actually can see yourself sitting there watching this because you have this imagination. And that is what makes us different than animals. A dog can be nothing but a dog, and a horse can't do anything but be a horse. I've never seen bears create plans to build a skyscraper. So that ability to see ourselves do things is what allows us to consciously make choices. And that's what we have, is between the stimulus and our response, we actually have a real choice. Proactive people are concerned with their immediate surroundings that they can actually control. And reactive people are more interested in areas of concern that they don't have any control over. So if they watch the news and they see all this war going on in different countries, they're looking at immigration problems in other countries. Those are areas of concern they might feel concerned about, but they can't actually make a choice that's going to do anything that's actually going to better them. So reactive people tend to stay in that area of concern instead of being in their area of influence, which is something that they can actually make real decisions on. And if you're not sure where you are, you might be going through a situation right now, which is quite common for many people, to have these ups and downs in life. So what you can do for sure to see where you're at, and this can be in just one part of your life, is to check your language. What are you actually saying? Are you saying things like, I can't do that, or he can't do that? Like, for example, at work, your boss might say, hey, you're getting moved to another department, and you get upset because you don't want to go. Or maybe you lost your job and you find you're saying, I can't find another job, because you're looking and you want to find another job. I can't, I must, I just want to, but I can't. So it's like you're making excuses for yourself. But the fact of the matter is, that's reactionary mode. Do you actually have the choice? If you did lose a job, for example, do you actually have the choice of responding in a different way? Let's say, for example, you wanted to get a job that's in a similar field. You just go out and you maybe take some certification tests. Do you have the choice to do that? Do you have the choice to actually get on the internet somewhere for free in a library and study a little bit more about the industry? Do you have that choice? I would say you do. That's a conscious decision that you can make instead of sitting around feeling sorry for yourself. And that is something I personally had to work on, and hence me making this video and going through, is I'm looking at myself. It's been hard looking in the mirror and actually being able to do that. So now with a more proactive mindset, it's me getting out there learning enough that I can actually teach what I'm learning. And I can say to myself, I do have a choice. I can look for alternatives to my situation, and I can say I can control my own feelings. And that was difficult during the divorce, to say I can control my own feelings, because your spouse, your ex-spouse or your partner probably knows exactly where to push your buttons. And again, you have the choice when that person is trying to push your buttons to actually choose your response. You can choose to get angry, and that's your reaction, right? That's your reaction when you get angry. And I have done that for years, and it wasn't until I started to realize that I didn't want to be in that reactionary mode any longer. And the other thing that really made me think about it is that person's controlling you. If you're in reactionary mode, that person is controlling you, and that's not what you want to be happening. It's actually the opposite. You get really angry when that person is telling you something, and your immediate response is to fight, and you want to fight. But in reality, you're just losing. Deal with the circumstances, let it go, and move on. Choose some responses. What's the alternatives? What can you do? So look at your language and how you're actually speaking to yourself. Sometimes you have internal dialogue that is very indicative of whether or not you're proactive or reactive. So if you find yourself saying, I choose to make certain decisions, ask yourself, are you making them by choice in a positive way? Or are you making choices in a negative way that's actually causing whatever that stimulus is to control you? Now, if that stimulus is controlling you and you say, I can't change because of that stimulus, then you're probably not ready to move on yet. But once you finally get done struggling and say, I'm ready for change, and be proactive again, that's when everything will change for you. And I have an extremely good example that just happened to me last week, and I'm going to show you in the next video, where I have been looking at myself and wanting to do some drastic changes. And it was funny, I was just going in and looking at some different gyms to sign up at, just to get back into the gym and have some weights instead of filling up the house with weights, I wanted to go somewhere else and be a little more social doing it. And just out of the blue, a 15-minute, well, it was supposed to be 15 minutes of going in to see the manager of this gym. It might end up turning into something much better, a dream that he's been also looking into. So it's amazing what you can do when you become proactive. I'll see you in the next video.